Welcome to the third episode of our Rise and Shine series. I'm honoured to be here with the goddess Tash Mitch. Thank you so much for being with us, sweetheart.
Oh, thank you for having me. I just absolutely adore your spirit and your vibe, and you are definitely a soul sister, so it's a pleasure and an honor. Thank you.
I was so excited to share you with our tribe of heart leaders so that they can really get a glimpse into your inner world, into your heart, and most importantly, I'd really love to hear from you. What have you really overcome? What have you triumphed in your own life? If you'd be happy to share that. And then the other two things I'd really love to hear is, where are you in process in your life right now? And what are you creating for yourself? I really want to expose some of the most powerful healers and leaders and allow everyone to see their humanity mixed in with their divinity and see what they're actively doing in their own lives to align more closely with their own divinity. Darling, would you be happy to share with us, what have you overcome? What have you triumphed over, darling?
Well, one of the main things I've triumphed over is when I was a lot younger, and I feel like that's the story for a lot of people who've come through with a specific kind of energy, or with a gift that they want to share with the world. A lot of times you weren't really in resonance with your surroundings, and you weren't really in resonance with the environment.
That's a nice way of saying it. We were not in resonance.
Yeah, it's kind of like literally nobody got you, and you were kind of struggling to get them, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And very much that was my story growing up, but there was a lot of challenges around that because just basically maneuvering. My family moved around quite a bit when I was younger. So we lived in Saudi. Then I actually ended up living in Grenada in the Caribbean with my grandmother. So yeah, there was a lot of challenges because of that, because we didn't really have like I didn't have a stable place I was having to kind of like meet new people all the time and go to different schools and stuff. So as soon as you get it sorted, like, okay, I kind of get the lay of the land here. It was like another shift and another, so all of that really led to me kind of being very open to different kinds of people and really kind of getting an understanding and a heart connection with people quite easily, no matter where they come from, because there was a sense of we are all one. But before I got to the we are all one part, there was a lot of challenge. A lot of, trying to fit in and maneuver myself and kind of like not knowing where I was, kind of thing. And that went on for years. So like basically that was something that I had to overcome up into adulthood, sort of allowing my voice to shine and knowing that being different is not a bad thing, and sort of having something to say that doesn't always reflect what's going on in the mass around you is not a bad thing. And to be able to embrace myself that way took quite a bit. It took a bit, and still there's that opening and embracing myself more and more. That it's a constant work with that, basically, the humanity, embracing our humanity.
This is so beautiful to hear from you, sweetheart, because I really believe that our pain is our purpose, and everyone is so motivated to acquire their purpose. We want to understand what our gifts are, but I think really understanding the circumstances wherewith they're commonly forged gives us deep respect and honor for people who are showing up in leadership, allowing themselves, I love how you've now capitalized on this. Do you know what I mean? That you can have a heart connection with anyone, no matter their background or their culture. But that was hard won for you. So I really honor what you've passed through to have these extraordinary gifts and capacities that you do here now, hon.
And I feel like our soul takes us into challenges so that we can grow that muscle.
It would seem that way.
But when we're in the midst of it at the time, it doesn't feel or seem like that. It feels challenging. It feels sometimes really prickly. It feels painful at times. But the development of the spirit that comes out of that, and for me, there's a huge honoring process of that now. The process of actually the challenge. Not that I kind of like sort of seeking challenges out. But
not that I'm asking for you. Let me get that clear.
But at the same time, it's actually really understanding that there's really huge gifts and nuggets within the challenges that we have to go through.
And that they love us so much that they were willing to witness our suffering and discomfort and
Yes.
trust us during that process, knowing where it would lead us.
Absolutely.
Oh, it's so gorgeous, so gorgeous. Would you be happy to share, you know, for you, where are you in process right now? What are you actively healing or in process within your own sacred world right now, sweetheart?
Well, it's a real interesting one for me because recently, as with, I think, all light workers, I think it's our duty to really delve into the areas that we are contracted, or the areas that, you know, we've got tension, or the areas that we haven't accepted ourselves. And that is a constant, you know, that's a constant, because you're always going to meet your own boundary and barrier, and then it's, you know, shining light and love to get through that. And for me, over a period of the last, I would say, 4 or 5 months, there was a lot of delving into ancestry and a lot of delving into the painful family situations, you know, the painful family relationships, and the kind of like animosity and hurts that had come out of that from me as a child towards family members. And not really understanding the motivation behind where they were coming from, you know. And it's, you know, I got given the gift of being able to do healing work with both, really deep healing work with both my parents, healing, you know, sending energy back through the ancestral line, and really getting an understanding of, you know, where people like my grandmother, for example, was coming from. She was a really big one for me, and that sort of healing of that relationship was a real important one, because one of the things that I realized with healing that relationship is that her soul had, you know, gifts that were going to come through me, come through that ancestral line to me. But because of my own animosity, I'd shut those gifts off.
Wow.
But when you actually go in and you kind of like dig around and you delve into stuff, basically you're left with a whole load of residue that you have to get out of the body, you know, literally you have to get out of the body in different ways, whether it be yoga or massage or going for saunas or however it is, or sweating it out, but how, or, you know, movement, but however it is that you're going to do it. Once you actually start releasing all of those, a lot of time toxic sort of thought systems within your own self, they actually then start to kind of like and so that's been where it has been for me, is actually finding ways of, because there was such a huge shift and so much healing work that had been done in such a short space of time, that in the end of it, my sacral chakra felt like it was kind of like about to explode in a way, with all the toxins around it. And it's kind of like really doing a lot of work trying to get that out of the system. And that's where I am. That's what I'm in process with, is kind of understanding and loving the body. And really thanking it for the fact that it's held on to these things to protect me. But at the end of the day, now it's the time for the release of them, you know?
Oh, that's so profound to hear you express, because, you know, the biggest thing that I find is that as humans, we're very capable of perceiving wounded behavior and wounded thought systems, but understanding healed perspectives and healed paradigms and how someone shows up, you know, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, coming from their truth, you know. And what I love is just listening to you, that gives a model, it gives a frame of reference, where not only are we witnessing what you're doing and what you've done, but we're feeling into the vibrational process as we hear your voice. So that was just divine. Sweetheart, what are you creating for yourself? If you knew that there was something you needed to give yourself in the next 6 to 12 months that you are actively going about creating for yourself now to eventually manifest and attract into your life, what would that be, sweetheart?
Well, one of the things that has actually really been at the fore for me is how we root our divinity into our physical body, how we actually bring it into the physicality of who we are, the you know, the systems, the organs, the cells, the blood, the bones, how we actually bring our divine essence into all of that in order to shine it out. And so what I'm really in sort of developing for myself more than anything is a real deep understanding of my own body, my own physicality. Because for a long time, because of the paradigm, like, you know, that sort of collective mind paradigm of spirituality where we always looked up, or certainly I did, you know what I mean? It's kind of like if anybody had said spiritual or sort of higher self or guides or anything like that, I looked up, I looked towards the ether, towards the universe. And so as a result, was never really fully implanting in my body, you know, the body was kind of as a by the by sort of thing. Yeah. And I never really kind of developed a close relationship and friendship with my own body. And now the understanding that the body is such a gift for allowing us to hold our divinity, for allowing us to actually radiate the essence of our divinity outwards. And so it deserves our attention, and it deserves our love, and it deserves us shining the light in all these different areas in order to heal. For me, it's been a real profound shift, you know, but it's also taking now a deep learning and understanding process of what the body, you know, what is my body about, you know?
Oh, wow. And so I just see the imagery come straight to the fore of, you know, the triangle and then the inverted triangle. And then having those two experiences of looking up and then looking within or looking down into our own.
That phrase, as above, so below, is a phrase that keeps ricocheting in the back of my mind all the time. Yes. Because the infinity of what we actually experience and see with the universal aspect of the divine is also mirrored in the matter aspect of the divine. And to have that profound understanding now where it's given that level of respect that the divine also resides in matter is really a huge shift for me, definitely.
Wow. Oh, you're just so delicious, so luscious. It's such a feast to spend time with you. Thank you so much for sharing your heart, your life, your experiences, where you're in process. Such an honor, Tash. Thank you so much, sweetheart.
Lysa, I absolutely adore you. I adore the work that you're bringing forward, and there's so much that you offer such a reflection. So thank you really for providing the space for me to do this. Thank you so much for that.
The Tash Mitch is a chakra alchemist, and you can find out about her glorious work from tashmitch.com.